Hello and welcome to Talk Ag to Me, the podcast dedicated to improving ag literacy around the globe. I'm your host, Brandon Black, and as you can hear, I have a cold, but that's all right. I'm just here to tell you that this is the second part of the Gavin Patrick interview. It went a lot longer than we were expecting it to, but that's all right. I mean, it's a good episode and it has some good content in there. So, yeah, this is the second part to that long interview, and I hope you guys enjoy.
Ag teacher, and he doesn't even have a state degree.
Really?
No.
Wow.
He was in FFA for a couple of years, but he doesn't even have a state degree.
That's crazy.
And he worked on a ranch in high school and did pack horses.
So he had the...
Yeah, he had the experience, and he could have gotten a state degree. He could have gotten an American degree, but he never really thought of it as important. But my mom has a state degree. My sister has a state degree, but I have an American and a state degree.
There you go. You're the first.
I'm the first and the only.
Yeah, no, I'll be the first in my family to get my American too. My dad actually technically has his, but he didn't get to go to nationals to get it because he had to work because he was providing for his family. So, he officially earned his American degree, but he never actually received the degree because he didn't get to go. So I'll be the first one to actually receive my American degree.
Yeah, it's like my dad with college. He feels like degrees, that a college degree is super important, and so he's like, I'm going back to school. I'm gonna get my doctorate. So we're gonna have to call you Dr. Patrick now. Does that mean I don't have to go to my regular doctor anymore? Are you just gonna be able to sign off my checkups and all that? And he goes, no, it's a different kind of doctor. I go, well, I'm not gonna call you Dr. Dad. So,
right.
I mean, if you want to get your doctorate, cool. But I mean, to me, it's I mean, if I get my bachelor's degree, it's like, okay, that's about as high as it's gonna go. I don't think I want to go any further than a bachelor's degree.
Right.
As of right now, it's kind of like, what am I going to do? What am I going to do after my associates? Am I just going to get my associates and that's it? Because honestly, college is pretty boring. It's just my own opinion, especially a lot of the classes. Now, the welding classes, it's fun, but it's a lot of stuff I already kind of knew. Mm-hmm. But it's better than that, like a sitting in lectures. It's just kind of like you're just sitting there. It's like, I just want to go outside. Right. No, exactly. It is a little bit boring, and I guess the reward is probably greater than than what you're putting into it. Yeah, so, no, exactly. I mean, there are people that get bachelor's degrees and they put all this money into their debt, and then they never actually get that perfect job that they're looking for. Yeah. Well, that's the whole thing with a degree is all it does is get you an interview. Pretty much. It doesn't guarantee a job. It doesn't guarantee a career. It doesn't agree that you are going to be employed afterwards. It does not. It does not guarantee that you're going to be paid a certain amount of money. Mm-mm. You could have a degree. There's people at McDonald's. They have degrees and stuff. There are a lot of people at like Taco. There's a lady at Taco Bell. They took my order once, and she goes, "Oh, you going to college?" You go, "Yeah." She goes, "Oh, yeah, I went to college too." She goes, "I have a master's." And I go, "You have a master's? You have a master's?" And she goes, "Yeah." And she's working at Taco Bell taking orders. Yeah. She was in her in her 20s, like early 20s. And she was just out of college and has a master's, and she's working at Taco Bell. That's crazy. I'm like, wow, that's insane. Yeah, well, it just goes to show that she's like somebody else like from behind is like, oh yeah, since you got a master's, you could become high management here at Taco Bell. It's like, oh man, oh boy. But it's the same thing. It's like you're not guaranteed a job. Right. No, exactly. I mean, that's how I see it. I'd rather have like especially now. A lot of jobs in ag are not really basing off of degrees. It's off of experience. It's off of experience and skill set. It's like, okay, yeah, you have a degree in like mechanized agriculture and all that, but this guy I know can pull off an injection pump and rebuild it and put it back together. How do I know you can do that? Right. You just have a piece of paper that says you can. Yeah. I can actually see this guy doing the work, and he's got a whole resume of working in these other places beforehand. Right. Well, there's an old example. I don't know if you're familiar with Neil deGrasse Tyson. What? Neil deGrasse Tyson. He's an astrophysicist. So he's an African American scientist that's pretty popular in the science community. He was talking about sometime, I don't remember what the interview was now. He was talking about during an interview how if he were to hire somebody, let's say he had two candidates come in for an interview, and he asked both of them, okay, how tall is this building? What's the tallest spire on this building? One of them would say, "Well, I memorized the height of the building back when I first came to this college, so I know that it's 215 feet high."
And then the second person says, you know what, I don't know what it is real quick, let me run outside and I'll check for you. And he runs outside, he sees the shadow of the building, measures the shadow in relativity to the shadow of a tree, and measures it to the tree, and he does the proportion analysis, and he does like the whole calculation, and he comes back and gives him the right answer. And he says, I want that guy because he knows how to do it. The other guy says he knows how to do it, but that doesn't prove that he does.
It's just he's got it memorized.
Right. It's the same thing with the degree. The degree shows that you're probably qualified, but the experience shows that you've done it before, that you know how to do it.
That's like a really good movie that's a very good example of this is Good Will Hunting.
Oh, yeah.
The guy's a janitor, and he's solving the problems that the students are supposed to be solving.
Yeah,
the students can't even solve them, and the professor wants to know who it is and catches him one day.
Yeah.
And the guy's a janitor, basically is smarter than anybody in that whole college.
Right.
And it's MIT.
Wow.
I think is where he worked, is at MIT. And it's just, it's like, wow. Supposedly it was based off of some kind of fact. Some truth. Some
kind of true story, yeah.
Yeah, and I've heard things like that before. And a matter of fact, I think when I was in Boston quite a few years ago, I think we went on a tour and somebody said something about that. It's like, yeah, one of the smartest people came out of MIT, and he wasn't ever a student. He was never a professor. Just kind of hinted at it. And I'm sitting there and go, talking about Good Will Hunting? He goes, no, that's what the movie was based off of. I'm like, oh. So it's based on, he goes, yeah, except the storyline is a little tweaked for a movie. Right,
you kind of have to.
And what really happened was completely different, so you can't really consider that as comparison. So it's like, oh, okay. But people at MIT, the students are crazy. They all dismantle, like, professors' cars and then reassemble them in their classroom just to mess with them. They disassembled the campus security cop car and reassembled on top of a building.
Oh my god.
Yeah, they had to use a crane to get it down because they refused to take it apart. They're like, oh, I don't know how it got up there. They basically are like, I don't know how it got up there. We don't know how to take it apart.
I'd be scared to work at a college where the students are smarter than those people, because then they could outsmart me in ways I couldn't undo.
Yeah, and those are the people that's the kind of degree that will get you a job guaranteed, right. Because those are the smartest of the smartest people,
right.
And they know that they can do it as well as have a degree that says they can. So it's a little different,
right?
But here at I'm going to call it the bottom. Right. It's like there's a pool of us. There's thousands of us. It's like it's like a pyramid. We're down here at the bottom. The kids at MIT are at the very top. We're down here at community college. There's thousands upon millions of us, and there's just a handful of them.
Yep.
They're guaranteed a job. We're technically not. We get told we are.
Yeah.
But
that's the misconception about college is college. Every time you go to college, they tell you they're going to walk out of there with a job that pays six figures, and that's very rarely the case.
The people I work for, the welding shop, none of his sons went to college. He never went to college.
Right.
They all have high school degrees or high school diplomas.
Right.
They have high school education. That's it. Mm-hmm. And these people are super smart. And I mean, it's like, wow, why don't you have a degree? It's like, never need one.
Yeah.
We make enough money to get by. It doesn't matter. They have a job to work on.
Yeah, it's the same thing. Like if you say that somebody is more qualified or smarter or more, they're better for a position because they have a PhD in that thing.
Yeah.
Well, that's more of like an argument from authority. A PhD doesn't necessarily mean that you know what you're talking about. It just means that you did the homework. Or that you had somebody else do the homework for you, which happens sometimes too.
Who knows? And
so it's the person who can actually prove it, who can actually show you what their qualities are, then those are the ones you're going to want to take from.
Yeah, I know. I do everything on my own. So if I fail a class, it's on me.
Right.
I don't let anybody cheat off me. I don't cheat off anybody else. But I do witness people cheating.
Yeah, it happens
I don't
all the time.
say anything about it because it's like, well, ratting somebody else kind of bad karma, and it's not really any of my business. If they get caught, that's their business. I don't want to be the person that rats them out.
Right.
It's not really like they're doing something horrible. It's not like they just murdered somebody and burying them in a backyard.
Right. No, exactly.
It's like, ooh, Hannibal's back there. I don't want to rat him out. He'll come after me.
Yeah.
I don't want to deal with that. But it's cheating. It's like it's pretty much harmless. It's not hurting anybody.
Right.
It's like if they get caught, that's on them. I mean, I don't cheat, so I don't have to worry about getting caught. So
yeah, no, exactly.
I basically I have a very good memorization, so basically I go through notes and I can recall things. My architecture history class, we would have quizzes. I never studied for one of them.
Yeah.
And I always got B's on them. Every single one. If I studied for them, I probably could have got 100%.
Yeah.
Or over 90. But I didn't. So But I was able to recall everything that he said in class and everything that was on there. I could just kind of look at the page, glance, and then there's other people that have to like read word for word.
Right.
And then me, it's kind of like I can just glance at it. Okay. Yeah. All right. And same thing with measurements. I can measure something. All right, that's 7 feet. Walk like a mile. Oh, it's the same.
Yeah.
I can even eyeball things.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I can use my hand as a piece of measurement.
Right.
And your finger's 1 inch. That's 3 inches. Right at the knuckles, another 4. And then there's 7, there's 8, there's 9, and there's 10.
Right.
I can just kind of clock my hand and change the measurement. So, I mean, I can just eyeball stuff. I can basically, somebody goes, man, I wonder how long that is. It's 3 inches. How do you know? Or like, how wide is that piece of wood? Oh, it looks like it's a 2x4. You know, oh, are you sure about that? Yeah. Go measure it. Well, that's not a 2x4. It's like inch and a half by 3.5. Yeah. I go, yeah, I know they're undersized. Yeah. But, you know, you just kind of stick my finger up next to it, or like steel gets like really small increments, and they're very precise. So you go like inch and a quarter. Right. You can even get stuff an inch and an eighth. Wow. It's kind of like you kind of look at it. It's either inch and a quarter, inch and an eighth. Are you sure about that? Yeah. Go ahead and get a tape measure. I did that all the time at the welding shop that I worked for, McGregor Welding and Fabrication. John would ask me. That was the owner, John McGregor, and he was and he's like in his 60s. And he goes,
his son Mark.
Yeah. Okay, Mark McGregor is the youngest one. Okay,
so Mark's wife is my brother-in-law's sister. Okay. So Mark's like kind of family, married family.
Yeah. Mark's the youngest, and then Mike McGregor, he's the oldest. Okay. Mike's the one that worked in the shop with us. And,
gotcha.
Oh my god, those all three of them are like, they're like phenomenal welders and machinists. I mean, you watch them do anything with milling or lathe work. It's like they kind of eyeball it. That's pretty close. And he gets it. It's like, man, that's like within a quarter. That's like within like an eighth or a quarter of an inch. You're like, okay, now we can start using the calipers and get it right. But they just kind of like they just eyeball it. It's like,
it's crazy,
man. I mean, I couldn't even do that. I've tried eyeballing stuff and I get pretty close, but then most of the time I over machine it. Right. So it's a little. It takes a lot of practice. They have a lot of practice in that. But John's like, oh. Is that 2 inch or what is that? And I go, I stick my finger up, yeah, that's about 2 inch. And he goes, oh, are you sure about that? I go, yeah, I got a tape measure. There it is. He goes, how do you do that with your finger? I go, I can just eyeball it. Yeah. I just know that, 2 knuckles off the end of my finger is 2 inches. Yeah. So it's like, he's like, oh, wish I would have known that. So it's got like a bouncing ideas off each other type of thing. Yeah. That was a very good learning experience. I loved working there.
Yeah, I bet.
So, but yeah, that was probably one of my favorite places to work. I worked for COS over the summer, and that was pretty fun, but it was almost horrible because of humidity and the heat, because we're working outside.
Yeah, I bet.
Oh man, 80% humidity is 101 out.
Not fun.
I mean, you're not even hardly moving, and you're drenched. I mean, it was pretty horrible. Yeah. So yeah, me and the farm manager Matt were out there building horse shades over the summer. Just me and him. So yeah. Of course, none of that money went towards my American degree, but right. I'd already submitted it at that point. Right. But man, the flight over there, that was some flight. I mean, I couldn't just go straight to Indianapolis out of LAX. I had to go basically
to Sacramento.
No, we bypassed Sacramento. We went all the way up to Seattle.
Really?
It was a 5-hour flight from LAX up to Seattle. And then from there over to Indianapolis.
Oh, so you go to Sacramento and then you fly over straight to
they make you go up Sacramento. My mom went to she went to national conference when she was in high school, and she met darn, I feel bad about this. The ag teacher, he passed away over there in Indianapolis.
Oh, Mr. Kwan?
Yeah, my mom actually met him at the time, because my mom was she was an FFA, she was an officer, and so was he, and they basically got to pick only one person from each chapter at the time. Oh yeah. And so basically California filled up a whole plane and headed over to Illinois.
That's cool.
Over to Indianapolis, or Illinois, but Indiana. But yeah, they go out to Sacramento. But yeah, the flight over there was 5 hours just straight north.
Yep.
Up to going straight up to Seattle and then straight over to Indianapolis.
That's crazy.
Coming back though, we just had to get to Detroit. Oh, and I tell you what, if you ever go to the Detroit airport, make sure you take the tram, because we started off at Terminal 20 and had to go all the way to Terminal 62 or 64. I can't remember, but it's all the way at the end. And it's not like a terminal that has branches like LAX.
Right. It's
just one long terminal. It's like miles long.
Jeez.
I mean, luckily they had those moving walkways,
right?
And so basically we were able to just move all the way down there. It took us. I kid you not. This took about well over 30 minutes, probably about 45 minutes, just to get from one end to the other because there were so many people there and trying to move across. We got to our flight right as they were boarding.
Jeez, that's
and
crazy.
We got on there, so we had a little puddle hopper from Indianapolis up to Detroit, and then got on a bigger plane. Back to LAX, and then got home some point in the morning, and just like, we're not staying here, we're just going home.
Right.
Drove home, and man, that was pretty rough, especially having to drive all the way back right after getting off the plane.
Yeah.
It was nicer with driving and then getting on a plane and being able to sleep.
Right.
But
having to drive back is not as fun. No.
I mean, it was not as fun. I mean, the flight was a lot shorter coming back. That's nice. It was a lot shorter. But there was a guy I met in Indianapolis. We're on our way. He was on his way to Detroit, and he worked for a big cattle company, and I was wearing my black cowboy hat, and he had a black cowboy hat on too, and I think that was Carter started the conversation. He goes, "Oh, hey, how's it going?" And he's like, "I was from Texas," and he's telling me, and he's like, I'm like, "Oh, so where are you heading to?" And he goes, "Oh, I'm just heading back home. I got to go up to Detroit, catch a flight, go back down into I think he said Oklahoma.
Oh,
I think he's from Oklahoma, and so you can go back to Oklahoma." And he said, "Where are we coming from?" And my mom's like, "Oh, we're coming back from Indianapolis." You go, "Oh, from what?" "The FFA National Conference." And he goes, "Oh, what are you doing there?" I go, "I got my American degree." He goes, "Wow, that's great!" And he's like all excited. He goes, "Man, that's an honor." I go, "Yeah, I know it is." And then start talking. And he goes, "Yeah, I got this friend in San Luis Obispo, or it lives near San Luis." And my mom goes, "Oh yeah, we got some friends." And he come to find out, both of them knew each other.
Really?
Yeah.
That's funny.
Both of them knew him. So my parents knew the guy, and this guy we meet at a
small world.
Oh, I mean, there's people in Pennsylvania that knew where Springville was.
Really?
Yeah. Huh. We were in Boston. There was a guy that had family live in Porterville. We were in Boston, and we went to the gift shop next to Old Ironsides, the oldest naval ship.
Right.
And we got to sign one of the plates that goes on the side of it. And he's sitting there, "Where are you guys from?" "Oh, you won't know where it's at." "Oh, well, we're from California, from the Central Valley." "Oh, I got some family there." You go, "Oh, really? Okay." He goes, "I was from the Central Valley originally." I go, "Okay, well, we're from Springville. I don't think you've ever heard of it." He goes, "Oh, I know where Springville's at." "You do?" It's like, "Yeah, I got family from Porterville." Whoa, that's hilarious.
Yeah.
We met people in the UK that were they were Cal Poly graduates.
Really?
Yeah,
that's crazy.
We were right there on Abbey Road, or on the right there on where the famous thing of the Beatles crossing the street.
Oh.
Abbey Road. We were there on the corner. We were just checking it out. There was all sorts of people trying to mimic the walking across the street, just like the Beatles. And
that's funny. These
people walk up to my mom's sweater, and it said Cal Poly San Luis Obispo. Are you alumni from Cal Poly?" "Yeah." "So are we." And it's like, oh my god,
that's crazy.
They're just out of nowhere. I mean, we were near Buckingham Palace too, and there was somebody that recognized Cal Poly, and they're like, "Yeah, I live in San Luis." It's like, wow,
that's crazy.
That's just insane.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's like no matter where you go,
there's gonna be somebody you know.
Somebody knows there.
Mm-hmm.
We were in Ireland at a pub, and I guess there was an little Irish lady who was talking to us, and she cursed like a sailor, and she was talking how she did not she voiced her opinion, and I can tell you right now, she did not like Donald Trump.
Really?
She did not. She told us, if Donald Trump gets elected, you're allowed to come here and be refugees. And we're like, well, okay. I mean, I wasn't too bothered by him getting elected,
right.
But apparently they just nobody in Ireland likes him.
Right.
And it's like, wow. They're like, no, we'd rather have Hillary. She's not much better, but it's like this lady just like voiced her opinion. She was cursing like a sailor.
That's funny.
And so we told her, yeah, we're from this little town called Springville. Oh, where's that at? Oh, do you know where Fresno is? No. She goes, although we told her it was in the Central Valley. She goes, oh, there's some people here not too long ago that came from the Central Valley. They said they were from Visalia. And it's like,
that's crazy.
Okay, so like some people from Visalia that happened to be just outside of Dublin at the time.
That's funny.
We're apparently there about a week before we were.
Oh.
and talked to this little old lady. She probably voiced her opinion about Trump to them as well.
I'm sure she did.
But it was but that was a fun experience. But I probably would have earned a lot more money if I didn't go on those trips over the summers.
Yeah.
But
that happens.
It was a very, very good experience.
Right.
But it's that flight to get my American degree was rough. I thought going over to the UK was bad. I mean, you're on a plane for God knows how long. I mean, it was just endless. It's like, oh man.
Yeah.
By the time you get off, you're like stretching. You're like, oh man, this is horrible. And you jet lagged for days.
Yeah.
I mean,
well,
could never get over it. By the time you get adjusted, you got to go back.
Yeah. No, exactly.
Oh man, it just took forever. But I was like, to me at that point, it was like, yeah, this flight's not that bad. I sent a picture of we got to Indianapolis. I took a picture of the plane outside of the terminal. Sent to my IT teacher. I said, well, at least we didn't end up like Leonard Skinner. And he goes, well, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Just don't end up like them on the way back either. I'm like, yeah, I hope not.
Right.
So I said that to one of the other students that was getting the American degree, and she goes, what's Leonard Skinner? And I go, you don't know who Leonard Skinner is? Sweet Home Alabama, Freebird? She goes, oh, I've heard those songs. Yeah, what happened to him? I go, they died in a plane crash. At least except for the drummer. He was in a van. Or a bus. I can't remember.
I don't remember either.
But she goes, oh. So I go, so when I reference ending up like Leonard Skinner and getting off of a plane, that's what I'm referring to.
Right.
But yeah, that was going to Indianapolis. I mean, that night we got in, we went and found a good burger joint, or when we went to a brewery and got some good burgers, and man, that was a pretty good burger. I mean, next morning it kind of wreaked havoc, but it was worth it to me. But yeah, just the waiting to get up on stage, and eventually they're like, okay, California. They kind of have somebody walk up, okay, you guys can come up now. We have to go back to the staging area, and basically it's all the way in the back, and the stadium we were in had a big concrete thing, and there's a sign, tornado shelter. And I'm like, where are the big doors at? And then one of the people that works there, oh, we don't have shutting doors here. I go, well, what keeps you from getting sucked out? The tornado rips right through the middle. I don't know. It's like just keep things from falling on people. So there's enough. There's two shelters on I think both ends, and so people can come out of the stands and get up underneath there. And I was like, what happens if a tornado drops right down in the middle of this thing and just starts sucking people out? It's like, I can't believe there's no doors. It's like, I don't know. I guess I didn't think about that.
Right.
It's like, first off, if a tornado starts coming through Indianapolis, there's a big problem.
Right. That's gonna be.
I don't know if there ever has been.
I'm not sure either. Are they? They're not in Tornado Valley, I don't think, or are they?
I think they're right at the edge of it.
Probably. Yeah.
I mean, you can get there's tornado warnings in Tennessee. So, yeah. I mean, we went through. We were there 3 years ago to visit family, and we drove from Knoxville all the way up to New York, and we went and saw Niagara Falls on the Canadian side.
Wow.
And got to go through the portals and behind the falls. That was pretty cool. But on our way through there and going up to Boston and going up through all those, small cities, we went to Salem, Massachusetts, and went to the witch hunt museum.
Oh, the Salem, yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, I mean that's a very interesting town. I'd like to live there.
Salem?
Yeah,
it sounds pretty cool.
It's a very cool place. I mean, it's super calm. Nobody judges you for anything. They're like, oh, Democrat, Republican, we don't care.
Yeah, as long as you're not a witch.
Nobody really cares there. It's carefree. It's very relaxed. It almost reminds me of of some parts in San Luis. But
oh yeah.
But those people are very they're very liberal.
Right.
And I mean, if you say anything about Republicans or Donald Trump, they'll like go off on you like that.
Yeah.
But in Salem, it's like nobody cared. It's like we don't care who you are, because a lot of people, they were Wiccans. There was a lot of Wiccans there and they don't care what religion you are. They don't care if you're a Wiccan or if you're a Christian or anything. They don't care. It's very relaxed. Everybody's very polite over there.
Which is kind of ironic because they had the whole Salem witch trial. You think they'd be very protective of their place from.
They're not. They just don't. They're very relaxed about it. And same thing in Knoxville. Knoxville, Tennessee is super laid back. Nobody cares about, as long as you don't infringe upon what they're doing, they're okay with you. I mean, it's kind of one of those things when we went back east, that 3 years ago. My dad's like, oh yeah, we're from California. Like, oh. Like their whole attitude changed. Oh, you're from California. I'm like, so when people ask me, where are you from? The West Coast.
Right.
I tell them,
California.
I'm from the West Coast. So they go, oh, I go, and then they ask, oh, what part of the West Coast? Well, I've got family in Oregon. And they go, oh, are you from Oregon? No. Where are you from? Well, sadly, I live in the state of California. And they go, oh, you poor thing. So when you say, sadly, I live in California, they'll feel bad for you.
Yeah.
But if you say it very enthusiastic, like, I'm from California.
Like, oh, from California.
Oh, from California. Uh-oh.
Yeah.
It's kind of thing. It's like, oh.
Yeah, no, exactly.
It's I had a teacher once tell me that he had a job opportunity working for Ford in Detroit, in Michigan, and they didn't accept him because he was from California.
Really?
They're like, we don't have to deal with failing drug tests and all that, and hygiene's a big thing here. What are you talking about? Well, I think California's full of a bunch of surfers and smoking pot and all that and hippies. No. There's a lot of agriculture here.
Yeah.
But outside of the state at the time, people thought California was.
Well, people still do.
Yeah. What do people think of when they think of Florida? Beaches.
Right.
Alligators.
Humidity. Iguanas.
Yeah, but you go to Florida, it's actually not that bad. I mean, my family in Tennessee, they've gone to Florida and they've gone to Disney World. That's because they can't go to Disneyland. It's a bit of but they drive down to Florida. And it's just there's weird stereotypes. I mean, you hear Oklahoma, oh, it's windy, it's flat, it's horrible, and there's Okies there. No, that's not necessarily true, but I mean, the wind is, and it is pretty flat. But there's people just like us that live there. And there's a lot of agriculture in Oklahoma, as long as there's in Texas, and agriculture is pretty much everywhere.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, even if there's not crops being grown, I mean, there's agriculture in Oregon and Washington. Mm-hmm. It's just they do logging. Yep. It's different. Logging is agriculture.
Yep.
Preservation of the forest, that's agriculture.
Mm-hmm.
It's and I feel like more people need to have a better understanding of not just agriculture in general, but also of the forest, because there's a lot of people that are anti-logging.
Mm-hmm.
And I've had conversations with some of the people I've worked for that are environmentalists. I think I'm pro logging, and they're like, oh, you like cutting out the trees? I go, no, I want to get rid of the dead trees.
Right.
I want to get rid of the dead trees. So there's not as much fire, and there's not there's less chance of it killing the other ones, because I go deer hunting. I'm just gonna say that outright. They know that too, and they're like, okay, well, that's your opinion. They don't try and force their opinions on me.
Right.
I like that. They're very nice people. I've taken care of their horses for them when they're out of town, and they're not the kind. They're accepting of other people's opinions. Mm-hmm. They have theirs. I have mine, and they don't try and force their opinions on me. They will sit there and listen, and we'll have conversations, and they're not going to judge you at all. I mean, they're very nice people, but they're not the extremists that go spiking trees either.
Right.
Those are the people that like to fight in the courts over it. They have a lot of good stories about fighting, like Disney and some other places.
Oh, really?
Yeah, matter of fact, Disney, I guess, had some land development in Malibu Canyon. They were going to put some condos in, and they were going to cut out some of the protected oak trees that were in there. And basically, Disney decided, well, it's in better interest not to fight this, so they just gave up the land to the Forest Service, or the USDA. It's like, okay, Park Service has it now. That's property of California, and it's protected. So, but they have stuff like that. They've told me. But I think I like the whole idea of low impact logging.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's very difficult to do low impact logging nowadays, especially because what I consider low impact logging is just the only thing you've got that's gas powered is a chainsaw.
Mm.
Basically, you use the chainsaw to cut the tree down and delimit and cut it up into short enough things or sections that you can drag it with like a horse.
Mm.
Because a lot of the older logging, they didn't use Clydesdales. They actually used quarter horses.
Right.
But they used like a team of 4. But you can use a team of 2 Clydesdales.
Right.
to pull a log that's a little bigger.
Yeah.
Than a quarter horse. But I know people that have some Clydesdales, and they're like, oh yeah, I know, we got this old logging equipment, we don't know what to use it for. And I'm like, hey, I'd like to do some low impact logging and pull out some of these dead trees. And the thing is with the Clydesdales, with the horses, is you can get into some areas that the machinery can't, especially in steeper angles and all that. Because if you start getting up in steeper elevations, the machinery is not gonna like that, especially the skidders. Skidders have rubber tires and they spin on fairly soft dirt. They're not. There's not a lot of tread on a skidder tire. The point is to be low impact, and then you start putting incline in it or muddy, it doesn't work.
Right.
So, but yeah, here in California, they don't really like the logging.
No.
For some reason, I mean, it's all political, and now I think more and more people are starting to kind of agree with me on the idea. Because of the fires that have happened recently in the past year or two. Yeah, no, we'll definitely have to do an episode on logging at some point. That's a whole other topic that we can get into. But seeing as how we've been going on for quite some time now, I'm gonna wrap things up here. So last question. Well, I guess I'm gonna do 2 more questions. The first one: since you have to commit 50 hours of community service into your American degree and have to be at least three different community service activities, where did you get your community service from? There's the Butterfield Stage Days, which I did that 2 years in a row, and basically it's for some of the younger kids in the smaller schools, and I did that 2 years, I believe. Yeah, I did that for 2 years. It only happens once a year, but I did that, and then I did community service with the 4-H, so I helped with like cleaning up trash at the rodeo grounds. So that counted because it was a different. It didn't matter what community service it was, right, or it came from. Now the money had to be ag related. It had to be FFA. It had to be ag. It had to be FFA or something out of FFA. Right. And it had to be that. With that though. I was able to use the 4-H stuff. So helping clean trash at the rodeo grounds or right after Apple Fest, because believe it or not, there's a lot of trash left after Apple Fest.
I could imagine.
It's not as big as it used to be. It's about half the size because Caltrans came in and closed down a lot of the vendors that were just in the streets. And people used to just jaywalk all the time and block traffic. I mean, it'd take you about an hour to get to the little town of Springville. It should only take you about 5 minutes. Right. But it takes so they controlled that. But I got community service with that, what we call the Christmas tree lighting. So we have a tree in the park that we wrap lights with. Then there was, what do they call it? It was at the fairgrounds. It was for younger kids again. It was the Farm Day, is what they call it, at Porterville Fair. And I helped with that. And, the Butterfield and the Farm Day, that took up a lot of it. I think I did like 6 different community service activities. Wow. I think there's like 6 or 8 that I did. So the minimum was 3. Right. So I did more than I needed to, but I got all the hours in. So I got that. Finished pretty quickly. I can see that. It was within a couple of years I got that done. I had to do it for my state degree as well. So I already had
some already. Yeah. Oh, good.
All right. So final question to wrap up the interview. Now we've gone on for quite some time. I might need to split this into 2 episodes, but we'll figure that out. Okay. So you were talking a little bit about how your dad's an ag teacher and he didn't get his American because he didn't see the importance in it.
Well, I don't think he really even knew it existed either. I mean, he sees the importance in it. He tries to get all his kids to try and at least get their state degree. I don't think he even knew it existed when he was in high school because I don't think his ag teachers even told him about it. Gotcha. My mom knew about it. He never went to state conference. He never went to the national convention or anything like that. He probably didn't even know it existed. But he had ag classes, and it was he went to school in the town of Chowchilla. Right. Little tiny town. I just really don't think he even knew about it. Gotcha. He never got a state degree. He probably could have pretty easily. Yeah. Because he did backpacking. They used to he and my Uncle Jimmy, my Uncle Dale, and my grandfather used to work for the Naps and the Nap Ranch at Chowchilla. They also had a pack station, and all of them used to help backpack. They had Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, hunters. Some of the hunters wanted to go back in the backcountry, and they backpacked people back up in there. So he did a lot of stuff with ag, and especially with cattle. He used to actually have his Class A license to drive a double trailer for hauling cattle for the Naps. He and my grandfather both had a Class A. My Uncle Jimmy, my Uncle Dale, they never had their Class A. Just me, my dad, and my grandfather. But he does see the importance in it. He was super excited. I was like, at the time, I was like, oh, I got my American degree. It's like, man, that wasn't that hard though.
Yeah.
It's like now I gotta go over there. I wasn't too excited. And I guess he had one of his students, Charlize. She texted me out of nowhere. I'd met her before, and I just couldn't remember her name. I ran into her at the fall festival. I was like, I recognize you. I know who you are. She goes, yeah, I'm Charlize. I'm like,
her and I were hanging out at the fall festival.
Yeah, but she sent me a text message right before I saw her at fall festival. I met her a few times before that too, and she was like, hi, this is Charlize. I'm just congratulating on your American degree.
Oh, that's cool.
Being able to get your American degree. It's super awesome. I'm like, really? Because my dad just didn't think I was that excited about it. I was at home. I didn't really want to talk to anybody. I'm just tired. And by the time he gets home super late. I'm like ready to go to bed. And I guess he didn't really see me that excited about getting it. I was super excited to get it. But to him, for some reason, he didn't think I was that excited to get it. And I didn't think it was that big of a deal. I don't like making a big deal out of anything.
Right.
But he was super excited about it. And so him and my mother went over to Indianapolis, and we were just there for like one night. We left.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it was rough. I was like, I really wanted to do the whole road trip with Mr. Coons because where they start at, I can't remember where they start at, but they start off somewhere and they road trip all the way to Indianapolis.
Jeez.
And they stop off at places. They stopped off at the Budweiser Brewery this year. Last year they went to the Louisville Slugger.
We went there a couple years ago too.
Yeah, so I really wanted to do that, but my parents were like, it's cheaper if we all just go together. So I was like, okay. They didn't want me missing school and all that either. So that's why we did that. But he finds great importance in that.
Yeah.
It's just that I think that when he was in high school, he didn't know it existed.
Gotcha.
He probably didn't know it. He knew he was an ag teacher at the first school he ever taught at was Los Banos High School, and the second one was Lindsay High School, and he started working there when we moved to Springville, and I think he worked there for 5 years, and then he left there and worked for the Nice Farmers League, which it's a farm bureau, and he used to have to drive from Springville to Fresno every day. It's like, I don't even know how many hours that is. It's
crazy.
Yeah, we had a little Toyota RAV that had 400,000 miles on it.
Jeez.
And he put those miles on it in 3 years. Just commuting. He went through, I don't know how many cars he went through. I think he had a Ford Focus. He had another car before that. And then he had, I think, a little Toyota Corolla. And then he had this RAV. And before he went back into teaching, we bought another RAV, and he started putting a lot of miles on that one too. So I think he had like 4 or 5 cars he had basically clapped out from doing all that. Yeah, so but I think I think enjoys being an ag teacher.
That's good.
Get back into it. So I run into all his students all the time. I have some of them from some of my classes. I have a couple of them. And they're like, they hear my name called in class. I go, Patrick. Hey, I had a teacher with the last name Patrick. I go, yeah, what was this? Did you drive a green Bronco? Yeah, how'd you know? Because I drove that in high school. They go, well, how'd you do that? I go, that's my dad. And they're like, oh, you're Mr. Patrick's dad. Oh, that's so cool. And then they go on and on about how much they loved having him as a teacher. So, I mean, it's like, you don't really see the impact that the teachers have at home.
No, yeah.
You see that it's like, they bring home papers and they kind of clutter their desk with it and engrave papers and assignments, and then they're here, they're at home, and then they go to school. You don't really get to see the effect of what they're doing. And so I mean, being about the same age as some of the students that he has, I run into them and they're like, oh yeah, I love having him as a teacher. I had him for my woodshop class, and they just go on and on and on about him. I'm like, wow, this puts it in a different perspective.
Right.
So, but yeah, I mean, being the only one in my family with the American degree, I definitely say it's a great honor to have it.
I think my final question, the thing that I kind of really want you to touch on a little bit is, what do you see being the importance of getting your American degree? Why is it such an honor? What's so special about getting it?
Well, there are millions of FFA members. Only 1% of them get their American degree.
Mm-hmm.
And that's every year. Only 1% out of that every year. There's probably, there's not a million people that have it, but there's thousands of us that have an American degree. When my mom was in high school, there weren't a lot of people getting their American degree.
No.
That's probably, to her, it was a great honor to get her state degree.
Right.
And she lived in Tehachapi, and she went to Tehachapi High School.
Wow.
Hardly anybody. I mean, they had pretty much almost everyone in that high school was in FFA. I mean, they had a very small ag department in an even smaller high school. But I just think that it wasn't really pushed as much at the time during the late 70s and early 80s. Getting your state degree or getting an American degree wasn't really pushed. Not a whole lot of people knew about it. So there's even less people from that era that have it. Now versus now, there's it's like, geez, there's all of us.
Yeah.
There's people that get it every year. There's 1% of us every year. There's probably less than 1% of FFA members at the time that were getting it. And, you think now, there's even more of us.
Oh, yeah. It's
so
huge.
We're 1% of what millions.
Yeah.
There's a lot of us.
Yeah.
And FFA is only growing.
Right. Exactly.
In my high school, it always seemed like it was hard to find people to be in FFA, but out of state, it's really pushed.
It's insane.
Like in Oregon, a lot of their schools, they don't have a whole lot of like county fairs and all that.
Right.
But a lot of it's on forestry stuff, surprisingly enough, and they do have stuff on growing crops.
Right.
And not just marijuana, because apparently that seems to be the big thing right now. In Colorado, Washington, and Oregon. But it was I don't even think they teach how to grow that stuff there.
No.
But they have different ways. I mean, Washington probably does a lot of stuff on logging as well, while Montana probably has a lot of cattle.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get into Oklahoma and Texas, and they're kind of in cattle as well. But then you go to Kansas, and it's probably more about corn.
Right.
There's a lot more people growing corn. But here in California, we're like the hub of. We're not in the center, but we're basically the hub of agriculture.
Right. We've got everything.
We have alfalfa. We have grass hay. We have corn. We have silage corn. There's different variations of corn.
Right.
There's probably well over 100 different variations.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of variations of wheat as well, and we grow almost all of it. We grow a lot of fruit as well. I mean, Florida, they're known for oranges. Georgia's known for peaches. California, we're known for all of it because we grow almonds, pistachios, walnuts. We grow almost every variation of fruit, and a lot of it gets exported.
Yep.
So, I mean, there's a lot of orange groves actually in Springville.
Mm-hmm.
There were a lot of apple orchards there at one time, but the majority of them were orange orchards. And you should see the oranges that come out of there. I mean, they're huge. They're like softball-sized oranges.
Jeez.
And they come out of there. They don't go to the grocery stores here in California.
Right.
They go out of the country.
Yeah, they go like Mexico or Canada or
mostly over to Japan.
Really?
And some of the Asian countries.
Huh.
The Middle East. So I mean, like, you get people like in Dubai that are buying oranges from California.
Wow.
So I mean, it's a lot of it's exported, but they sell the best product out of the country. So we don't even get to what's the best. I mean, basically, I knew people that have the orchards, and they basically bring a sack of oranges. Have a friend come over. Hey, you want an orange? Yeah. This is an orange, and I go, yeah, that's the one that usually you never see anywhere. But yeah, they're. It's just with that on as an ending note, it's great importance in the American degree, I think.
Yeah.
Especially since there's just that 1%.
Right. No, I think it's definitely a very significant achievement to get. So
and being making $10,000 and being in high school.
That's
a really
tough thing to do.
Yeah, I know. There's a lot of people that came close. out of my FFA. They came close to it, but they didn't make them. And because it's tough.
Yeah.
I mean, I had a lot of long summers mowing lawns and and doing odds and ends. So.
Yep. No, it's
definitely taking care of like my SEs and all that. So it takes a while.
Yeah, it does. Well, on that note, I am out of things to ask you. I'd like to thank you for joining me on this episode, and congratulations on your American degree.
Well, thank you.
I'll be getting mine next year. I'll probably come back and talk about it again because it's definitely a very big topic to discuss.
Talk about your experience.
Right, and that's the other cool thing is everybody has a different experience when they get theirs.
I know. There's all these different stories. Like the other students that got their American degree from my chapter, the ones that actually went. They have a completely different story on how they got there to Indianapolis, and I have a completely different story from them.
Right. No, so, everybody's got their own experience.
Yeah, they have their little road trip, and I have my red-eye flight.
Yeah. So yeah. No, I think that being said, we're gonna wrap things up here. I'd like to thank our guest here for joining us. That was a very fun interview and very good stories. And like I said, we'll have to bring you back on to talk about the lumber. Logging and all that kind of stuff that we were talking about, the fires.
Be a good topic.
Yeah, definitely.
I know a lot of people that are into logging, and definitely a lot of people that are into Cal Fire stuff.
And it's very like a very relevant topic right now.
Yeah,
so.
As of right now, it's very, very relevant.
Yeah, so we'll cover that another time. But once again, I'd just like to thank our audience for tuning in. I appreciate all you guys' support, and don't forget, if you ate today, thank a farmer.